We've made difficulty mods for Arkham Asylum, City, and Origins. It's been a fun journey, with players complaining the overhauls are too difficult and unfair, and other players saying they could be even harder. The only game left to overhaul is Arkham Knight. This is the Master Overhaul mod. I wanted to be ambitious here and push this game as far as I can. The problem is, Arkham Knight is actually the most confusing game in the series to edit. With the modding tools, you can properly see the values for the other Arkham games, but you can't for this game. But that's not stopping me. This overhaul will feature 4 difficulty levels and will come in 2 versions, depending on how you feel about the Batmobile sections. It will also add some new suit options. Let's preview some of the changes I'm working on. Look through the video chapters if you want to see any specific sections of the overhaul. Many of these adjustments are not finalized and are subject to changes by the time the overhaul releases. As usual, enemies are more intelligent and deal increased damage. Enemy health is being upgraded and they are much faster. They attack more often, not providing you with much breathing space. There will be 4 difficulty levels in this overhaul. Regular difficulty is for players who want to experience the overhaul changes without having to worry about overly dangerous enemies. Insane difficulty is for players who want to push themselves. Chaos difficulty dramatically boosts enemy aggressiveness and damage values across the board. Enemies can take you out in 2 hits at base health. There is also a 4th difficulty level in the base game. In New Game Plus, if you go to the settings, you will notice the difficulty is named Nightmare. I've replaced this difficulty with the new Master difficulty, meant for the masters of the games who've completed the difficulty overhauls for all the games, or at least Asylum and City. This is for those looking for one final challenge. The upgrade system has been fully revamped and is no longer overwhelming to go through. Many overpowered upgrades, such as the multi-ground takedown move, has been removed. But the problem is, there's one powerful move I could not remove. Not because the game wouldn't let me, but because I didn't want to remove it. I'm talking about the special combo backclaw. I could feel my bias seeping in. This move is one of my favorite additions to Arkham Knight. It's superior to the combo takedown move in almost every way. It can take out lieutenants instantly, which isn't possible with the basic combo takedown. Maybe it's too powerful for a difficulty mod, and I couldn't find a way to nerf it, but I just couldn't let it go. There had to be a way to still use it. So I've come up with a fun solution. Introducing legendary tier upgrades, where some of the more powerful upgrades will be locked behind a very expensive fee. You will need to earn 50 upgrade points to unlock these upgrades. 50 upgrade points may seem extremely expensive, but it's for good reason. The intention is to force players to have to decide and prioritize between the different legendary upgrades, as there will be multiple of them available. You will not be able to unlock all of them. You will have to decide which ones you like the most, which one caters best to your playstyle. When you play through this overhaul, upgrades will feel harder and other changes to the upgrade system include reducing health upgrades to 50% and removing some unnecessary upgrades. You don't need Grapple Boost Mark 3 when you can just skip to unlocking Mark 4. I've also suppressed the level up indicator, so the level up message stops persisting. Look at how overwhelming the upgrade system is in the vanilla game. I've looked deeply into combat, and I still am. Everyone seems to hate the quick gel in this game. It detonates after 1.5 seconds of shooting the gel. I've changed it to 1 second. This small change should make it a little more relevant and useful. You may have noticed the new combo meter value of 6. We are all very used to the default value of 5. You do 3 attacks and get into a free flow, leading into a critical strike to get to a combo of 5, allowing you to use your special. We are very used to that system. I wanted to force players to not rely on what they are already familiar with. Changing the value to 6 rewards consistent critical strikes, but in general affording you less frequent special attacks. Spending the majority of my life having the combo meter of 5 ingrained into the back of my head and having to adjust accordingly is quite bizarre. This might seem like a downgrade, but this small change forces you to be a little more strategic and careful in combat sections. For Predator sections, enemies spot you quickly, and on higher difficulties, they can kill you instantly. The Predator awareness setting annoys me. It gives you a free ticket to survive Predator encounters, and for some reason the game has it enabled by default. So I now have it disabled by default when you start a new game. This isn't even a setting in the other Arkham games. I'm not sure why they added it tonight. Fear takedowns are broken. There's no way around it. You take down 5 enemies instantly, then recharge your fear takedown meter with a quick silent takedown. I tested on the Endless Predator map. You can do this rotation infinitely. It's overpowered. I tried to change the recharge requirements to be multiple silent takedowns instead of one, but that didn't work. Then I tried disabling recharges entirely, hoping to force players to progress to a new area to automatically restore the fear takedown charge, which also didn't work. What I was able to accomplish was a few small changes. Silent takedowns now take longer to do, just a bit longer. With the increased enemy danger and how easily they can locate you, you will have to time your silent takedowns well. Additionally, you have a much shorter window to do your fear takedowns. You can't take your time, you have to panic as you try to find the next enemy during your takedown chain. The last change is something you may have already noticed. 4 times fear takedown is no longer available. Instead, 5 fear takedowns is promoted to a legendary tier unlock. Even then, you will have to be careful when you use it. If an enemy with a rifle notices you at the end of your fear takedowns, the amount of upgrades available for the disruptor is a bit much. It's an easy to abuse gadget and the most powerful in stealth sections. My first thought was to just limit the ammo capacity and call it a day, which was easy to do, but then I remembered the game forces you to use the default 3 bullets when you obtain the disruptor. So I just removed a lot of the disruptor upgrades. This doesn't make the game feel boring or limited, it just means you can't choose your way through predator sections by relying on the disruptor too much, and you're forced to be creative and think of other tactics. By default, there are 10 disruptor upgrades. It can do far too much compared to other gadgets. I have to be mindful of which upgrades to remove to maintain a balance. The voice synthesizer is another powerful gadget. It allows you to direct enemies where you want. I've made the cooldown infinite, so you can only use it 1 time per area, unless you're willing to wait awkwardly for 3 hours for the synthesizer to cool down. Other small changes include removing smoke pellet upgrades, as they just increase the radius and duration of the smoke. And I've removed the explosive gel instant takedown upgrade, which I didn't even know was a thing, but it seems to give you a free KO. Let's talk about the Batmobile. I have a confession to make. I don't like Batmobile combat. So there will be 2 versions of this mod, depending on how you feel about the Batmobile. There are 2 types of people. Those with a disdain for the Batmobile sections, and those who like it and don't get the hate.
I like it a lot.
One version of the mod makes Batmobile sections easier. This version will keep enemy tank values unchanged, and will hopefully reduce the tank spawns throughout the campaign. I have to be careful where I remove the spawns, as some of them are important for story progression. But it should contribute to less Batmobile usage in the campaign compared to vanilla, which some will prefer. Maybe I should just replace the tank spawns with angry thugs. If you like the Batmobile sections, then good news for you. The second version of the mod aims at making Batmobile sections far more difficult. Enemies shoot you faster, giving you a smaller window to dodge attacks. They will also deal far more damage. Remember how I was able to set Predator awareness off by default? I used the same logic to have Batmobile toggle mode enabled automatically. You can still turn this off, but this is just a more comfortable way to do Batmobile combat sections. I'll be testing and pushing myself through the entire campaign with this version, to ensure everything works properly and to keep the second group happy as well. I always loved the rain effects in the Batgirl DLC, just how violent the rain is and how much it contributes to the atmosphere. I wanted to bring something similar to the main campaign. Rain properties have been adjusted to create a heavy atmosphere, befitting the overhaul.
Talk, or I'll crush every bone in your body.
The game's color grading generally has strong greens in the shadows, which have reduced for improved color rendition. Physics smoke has also been adjusted. This thing is extremely bright. Nvidia physics effects had a habit of trying too hard to stand out in games, and ultimately looking out of place. I've dropped the brightness of the Batmobile physics smoke, and now the integration of physics smoke feels more believable. These are all small changes, but they accumulate to make the game feel just a little different than before. What is with this deserted city? Gotham has such a small population in the flashback. It's unlikely it will happen, but I'd like to make the open world a bit more dense in flashbacks. I should talk about the bosses as well. I haven't gotten around to testing any of them yet, but I wouldn't get my hopes up. The fundamental design behind the bosses in this game are extremely simple. It's actually painful how simple they are. All of the combat related bosses I can think of just recycle the dual takedown mechanic to take them out. Killer Croc, the Boxer Joker, the Riddler are all the same bosses. Many other bosses are underwhelming entirely. Gotham Paladins made a good video on how the bosses should have been approached, and I'd love if I could incorporate those ideas into the game someday. But for now, I'm not sure where the limits are with the currently available tools. Remember the Prestige suit? The harder and 240% suit that is nothing but make the bat symbol gold. If you have a sharp eye, you've noticed it was updated. I always thought the Prestige suit could do with a coherent design language. Adding gold on just a bat symbol feels out of place. After some concept arts, some trial and error, the result was this. This was done in just a few hours, by the way. I spent most of that time trying to understand how to import the new textures into the game. Nito had some great suggestions to make the overall suit feel complete. I was going to leave this suit as the only suit addition to the overhaul, but part of me thinks different players will want different versions. I aim to release 3 versions of this suit. This will be the main version, the Master Suit, which replaces the 240% suit, except it's available early on. I will add the Silver Suit, which is just this suit with the gold changed to silver. The last version, if I can get it to look right, will be the Diamond Suit. Diamond could prove to be a tricky material to accurately render in this game, but I think I can pull it off. The bigger question is if Diamond on a Batman suit looks stupid. Either way, I'm happy with the Master Suit design. This was just an overview of what we have cooking for the Master Overhaul. As mentioned before, some of these changes are subject to changes. There's a few other differences I haven't mentioned as I'm still exploring the game files and seeing what's possible. I'd like to thank Header Shutter, the first member of the channel. Remember to follow me on Twitter and TikTok if you use them. If you want to express your support, become a member of the channel. What does everyone think of the Master Overhaul so far? I'm looking forward to the release, and I hope everyone else is too.